Okay, hopefully you're seeing the correct thing. Cool, great. All right. So I thought I would start off, first of all, just telling you a little bit about Crossref itself, just in case you don't know who we are. So we're a sort of linking association, I suppose. We make research outputs easy to find, cite, link, assess, and reuse. So publishers join Crossref in order to assign identifiers to their content and be able to link this with other publishers' content from around the world. So as such, we work with quite a complex community. So this is an image that we came up with actually from a few of us joined the CSCCE Community Fundamentals course. And I think all of us had the feedback that defining our community was one of the most difficult things that we could do. So this is kind of what we came up with. So we have over 19,000 member organizations that span over 140 countries around the world. And these are primarily publishers that join Crossref. But we also work with sponsor organizations and service providers, and they provide services and support primarily for smaller organizations who would have difficulty working with us otherwise. And there are also many more in the wider community that use the metadata and the services that we have for a variety of different purposes. So we make everything open and people can come along and use that information. Meanwhile, despite the fact that we have this huge community that we work with, we only have 42 members of staff, primarily based in Western Europe and the US, with one new staff member who is based in Kenya. So our ambassador program sort of came out of consultations with our community prior to me joining Crossref, but we did identify that our members would like more local experts on hand to provide support as and when needed, so in their language and in their time zone. Increased training events, both online and in person, again, in their local region, in their language. Representatives from Crossref of events in their region. And someone who can act as a sort of conduit or a liaison to the Crossref team that they can communicate with and that's a bit more accessible to them. These are sort of objectives that we came up with when we first developed the program. So we wanted to gain a deeper understanding of certain audiences and or countries that we work with, to improve the education that we provide, both to our existing members and also to new audiences, to improve communication with and between non-English speaking communities, and to empower our members to help and advise each other. We started to develop this in about late 2017, early 2018, with these objectives. And I would say that mostly our ambassadors fit primarily in the maintain and grow phases of the functions of the community champions model that we looked at earlier. So there are people that believe in the mission of Crossref. They want to help people within their communities better understand how to work with us. And they want to deepen connections with existing members by acting as a local representative and helping to better support the members that Crossref members in their region. However, if I look at the grow phase, they also help us there by reaching out to new members. They translate our materials, they share news within their networks, they give talks at local events, and they organize their own training sessions. And gradually over time, this might move more into the evolve phase. We have started to see some of our ambassadors join some of our working groups and committees, and they are often the first point of call for us to go to for input on our new ideas and feedback on plans, just to get some more input from people who are located in different places that have different challenges and a bit closer to the communities that we work with. And this is our current ambassador team. So there's 28, which fits very nicely in this slide, and it will be upsetting if that changes. And they work in a variety of different roles, including publishers, editors, librarians, systems and engineers, researchers. And it's important to note as well that the idea of an ambassador program also came from recognizing that there were a lot of people within our wider community that were already doing a lot of the activities that we wanted ambassadors to do. So they were already translating some of our documentation and giving training sessions on Crossref because there was a local need for that. So we wanted to officially recognize the work that people were already doing on our behalf and be able to provide them with a level of support that would make their work easier. while at the same time improving our global representation and our knowledge about the different diverse communities that we work with. So our current ambassador team currently spans Mexico, Colombia, Brazil, the US, Taiwan, Singapore, Malaysia, South Korea, Mongolia, Indonesia, Ukraine, Uzbekistan, Russia, India, China, Nigeria, Turkey, and Australia. And we do have multiple ambassadors in certain countries, such as Indonesia, Russia, Brazil, I think, because we just have a lot of Crossref members in those regions and also really big countries as well. So it's kind of one of the challenges that I have is balancing the need for more global representatives with another of our initial aims, which was to keep the ambassador program small enough so that we could still maintain personal connections with the team and that they could build relationships between themselves as well. So I've used the community participation model here to just detail some of the activities that our ambassadors undertake from the convey, consume to the co-creation stage. So our ambassadors, they help us to increase our community capacity by collaborating with us on training events and webinars. They provide support, they answer member queries in their local region and language, and they also share resources with their local communities. They also bring greater legitimacy to our work by acting as an official representative when they give talks or speak at local events, or speak with local organizations on our behalf. And similarly, by being a Crossref ambassador, it gives them a bit more legitimacy as well in their work and helps them to have those conversations. And also, perhaps most importantly for us, they improve our reach by helping us to translate materials, communicate better with our geographically diverse community. They provide local insights and advice on local practices, norms, laws we should be aware of. And they can give feedback on behalf of their local communities as well and help us to reach out to new members that we've not worked with before. So here I've added some of the things that I've learned along the way and some of the things that I still need to work upon. So although we already had the resources to run the program before I was hired, and it was quite an easy to make a case for it because it had already been made before I joined Crossref, and there seemed to be a lot of people on board with this idea. It did take a while before everyone in our organization knew exactly what the ambassadors were for. There seemed to be a bit of a disconnect between the work that the ambassadors are doing and the work that our staff often do. So it has taken time for their impact to become a bit more visible. We did have a drop-in session, or a couple of drop-in sessions at different time zones, so that our staff were able to meet our ambassadors at least virtually, and this really helped. And we have had a couple of opportunities to meet them in person as well. When it comes to inclusive recruitment, we have a sign-up form on our website, and we do talk about the program at different events that we run as well. One thing I would say is that despite having this form that states explicitly that people do need to have a good level of familiarity with Crossref and how to work with us, we still get a lot of applications from people who've just heard about Crossref and therefore they just sign up to absolutely everything to do with us, and it's not exactly the best thing for them. So it does require going through their applications, and that I'd probably say no to more people than I say yes to, in all honesty. As I've already said, it's quite hard to balance how many people we have from certain countries and regions as well. So we might need to put out a call for certain countries or languages in future in order to meet that need. Crossref is quite a complicated organization, so there have been some onboarding challenges. I do run onboarding sessions, and I do sort of biannual meetings in which we sort of go over some services and a bit more training. However, there's still quite a lot of things to learn at Crossref. There's a lot of things that I don't know, and I've worked there for 4 years. So I do think that there's more we can do, and I'm going to try to develop an ambassador playbook, which is something we've talked about in the community working group, champions working group as well. And also building relationships can be difficult across languages and different time zones. We did manage to have a couple of occasions bringing ambassadors together in person. We had a Latin American meetup, and we have flown our ambassadors out to our annual meetings in Toronto and Amsterdam as well. And these have really helped to sort of build relationships between the team. But we do also need to sort of work on maybe some more ways in which they can interact with each other than via email on our community forum. And then this brings me on to sort of my last challenge, which was that it's hard to build relationships if people don't engage well enough. So our program is explicitly very flexible. We ask that people just give what time and what resources they can. However, there are some minimal requirements such as attending our calls, responding to emails, filling in our feedback form. And when these aren't met and there's no good reason and I can't get in touch with people, I do sometimes have to be like, okay, it's time to say goodbye. We don't currently have a term limit for our ambassadors, and maybe this is something we need to think about in the future as well. And my last slide is just kind of, I thought you might appreciate just seeing, this is a photo from our Latin American meetup in Colombia in 2019. And these are some of the responses I had from our feedback survey at the end of last year. Again, not everyone filled it in, and some of those people obviously then weren't ambassadors later on. But those that did, they were all quite happy, and these are just some of the nice things that they have said about being a Crossref ambassador. Okay, so and that's all from me.